Welcome to Locked On Golden Knights. Which VGK players will survive the season opening cutdown?
Your Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. I'm Tony Cardasco along with Chris Golick. You could find us on Twitter at Tony Dasco, at TD Chris G, also at Locked On VGK on Twitter. And check out our brand new Locked On VGK. Some great comments, interesting comments on there, especially about me on the YouTube channel. And make sure that you subscribe. Good morning to you, Chris. Ready for the start of a new week? Hey, we've got hockey season here. The opener will be on Tuesday in LA, and then on Thursday, VGK comes home for the home opener. Excited?
No doubt. Excited to say the least. There's a different, just a different feeling right now as hockey season's coming up. Me and the family, we're at the Silver Knights preseason opener and closer, I guess. They only have one home preseason game built into the schedule. And before we get too deep into our show, I'm going to rant for a second, folks. So just give me the platform for 30 seconds, then we'll get to our regularly scheduled programming here. Love the Dollar Loan Center. I don't mind paying $2 more this season for parking. I'm not going to be upset about that. But folks, like whoever makes these decisions out there, in the off chance that anybody is watching this podcast that has anything to do with the team, it should not cost a family. I think it was $65 plus or minus for one popcorn, two waters, one Sprite, one thing of M&Ms, one thing of Doritos, one thing of Jay's potato chips. That should not cost $65. Me and my family had a nice dinner after the game at our local Chinese restaurant. It cost $10 less than that for a big dinner. That's going to be 2 more meals for me and my wife for lunch throughout the week with leftovers. So if you go to one game a week, folks, that's like $240. If you go to 2 games a week, that's $500 a month. If those that are able and want to enjoy an alcoholic beverage, it's just so much money. This is AHL hockey, folks. This is AHL hockey. So that's it. That's my negativity. I'll leave the rest of the negativity to Tony for the rest of the show.
Thank you. And I appreciate all the negative comments about me. Like, just give me one, for instance, on something negative I've said, truly, that isn't true.
Tony, listen, I say this all the time. You and I represent 2 different segments of the fan base right now.
Yeah.
You represent a fan base that does
which
have
which one do I represent?
Things. What's that?
Which one do I rep?
You represent a very large group of the fans who have concerns about moves the team has made,
True.
About concerns about cap management and all those things. And that's okay. Like, that's the thing. There's a lot of people that have that perspective out there, and that's the side that you're on. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. That's what makes this work.
So now let's jump into things. I'll try not to be too negative, but today VGK will have the opportunity to trim its roster down for the season opener in LA tomorrow night. That's so hard to believe, but the season's here. And the battle for the roster spots, the way that we see it. So Jonas Rondbjerg was placed on waivers yesterday. We saw that, right, Chris? And then I guess, the final players, I think it's going to come down to this: who gets sent to the AHL and who stays up with the NHL team. So Paul Cotter, 4 points. We know what he's done, almost assured of a spot. Played well. Bruce Cassidy likes his puck movement. He likes his physicality. He likes his, what he called, abrasiveness on the ice, and took William Carrier's spot. Carrier was injured. We don't know what his progress is, if he'll be ready. And he played well, and every time he was on the ice, he made an impact. So we feel as though, right, he'll stay. And then the others under consideration for final roster spots or spot, the way that we see it: Jake Leschyshyn. You've got Kaedan Korczak. Korczak will probably stay up there now with the absence of Nic Hague, which we could get into in a little bit, and Jake Bischoff. And I think he's probably on my odds chart like at 20-1 coming back from that devastating knee injury where he missed months on end. And so how do you see it? Who stays? Who goes? Currently, Cotter, Leschyshyn, Korczak, and then Jake Bischoff.
So I think the focus needs to be on the opening night 20 skaters, and that's our 12 forwards and our 6 defensemen. And really, the only things that are in question right now are who replaces Carrier. Clearly, that's Paul Cotter. If Carrier is not going to be miraculously back come tomorrow night, I think I would be shocked if it was anyone but Paul Cotter, unless for some reason there was some type of AHL considerations to, move some money around and stuff like that for Nic Hague. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but just based on performance, nothing else withstanding, no salary issues or anything like that, Paul Cotter has to be Will Carrier's temporary replacement, and we'll see how long Cotter can hold on to a spot in the top 12 forwards. As far as defense goes, Korczak, I think, plays the part. Huge shout out to Bischoff for how far he has come. I think I remember watching in season 1 when he had that injury. You're watching on AHL TV. I think it happened. Early in season 1, if I'm not mistaken. But he was gone for a long time. And Bischoff was someone that was looked on to have a role with the VGK at some point. So Bischoff could be like the next, the 7th defenseman or something like that. As far as who they're going to keep up as the scratches versus sending people up and down, that's where the cap roulette wheel starts to spin. And, that thing's going to be spinning faster and, more furious than ever before, I think, this year, Tony. But yeah, I'm Korczak and Carrier in the opening night lineup. And then outside of that,
Korczak and Cotter. You're saying Cotter.
I'm sorry, I said that wrong. My bad. Yeah. My apologies. Yeah,
Korczak and Cotter.
Yeah, Korczak and Cotter. K and K. There we go. The K and C. Either way, it's Monday, folks. Leave me. Stop bothering me. But yeah, definitely that's the way I think they're going to go. And then Leschyshyn, he's probably going to be an opening day scratch, or that's where the up and down AHL trip up and down 215 starts. There you go.
Yeah. And so Nic Hague, Puckpedia, had some interesting maneuvers, if you will, that they posted yesterday. They were talking about how the VGK could sign Nic Hague. Is it too late in the game? Obviously, he will not be in uniform tomorrow night. It's hard to believe, too. One of our followers that tagged us, one more sleep to the start of the new season, which is just, again, unbelievable. Hockey season is already here. But Nic Hague, still interesting, still of interest to the fans. How valuable is it for them to sign him? Where do they go from here? We talked about them, maybe planting some ideas in our head about what it might take to sign him on the broadcast the other night. What are your thoughts? What did you see in the Puckpedia comments from yesterday that makes you believe that this could happen, Nic Hague signing pretty soon?
Yeah, so a couple of things right now, folks. So again, this Puckpedia tweet is just gold as far as we should be concerned. So it looks like, again, they're using the assumption 3 at 2.49, so 2.5 million 3 years. And the way they get there, Weber, Leonard, Brossoit, LTIR, no change there. This is where things get a little strange. Nolan Patrick, IR. He's definitely going to start on IR, LTIR, not sure exactly, but I don't know if that move has happened yet. Will Carrier IR. That's where we really need to find out the extent of this injury. It was week to week, but I think I don't know if he's skating that, but we're going to learn a little more about this Will Carrier situation. So that scenario, I guess, basically comes very close, like within hundreds of dollars of the acceptable salary cap. And then the other way is if Nolan Patrick goes to LTIR, that's going to free up $1.2 million. So this is where the timing of these things is always interesting. We're going back right now to the Reilly Smith situation. It was known he was going to sign with the team, but they had to make a deal. Obviously, once Pacioretty was shipped out, Reilly Smith news is announced shortly thereafter. So once you cut down to the final 20, and now you have your roster all in place, I think that's when you can formally make some type of announcement or make some type of move. So the conspiracy theorist in me wonders if there is a deal in place already for Hague, some type of handshake deal, but both sides knew they had to let the preseason play out, all the roster moves that happen, cutting down. And then once the final rosters come in sometime today or tomorrow, that's when they can finally say, okay, boom, here's the money for Nic Hague. Now he's going to be signed. The way things go, folks, and this is where I do err on Tony's side of a lot of things. There are a lot of weird things that do happen with the cap. There's a lot of weird things that do get said along the way, and VGK's handling of things, when McCrimmon's up there saying we're not, the cap isn't a problem to us. Well, I don't know if I agree with that statement. I definitely don't agree with that statement. And Nic Hague is a prime example. Nic Hague supposedly doesn't want to settle for less because of VGK's situation. And VGK signs Adin Hill in the offseason, which means even less money now for Nic Hague, which certainly might be why he might want more money. So I'm curious to see if a final announcement does get made today, but I would not be shocked at all if sometime between 4 and 5 o'clock today, Tony, as you would put it, somewhere between 4 and 5 o'clock today, news breaks that Nic Hague has signed his contract and he'll be ready for the opener on Thursday, the home opener, that is.
Wow. So you think that Hague will sign down to the wire here?
I think just once I saw that puck again, this is Puckpedia that kind of sparked all of this. This isn't necessarily completely my own theory, but once I read that, you just kind of see how things got to shake out a little bit, and maybe waiting on Nic Hague this long helped somehow the preseason. I don't know.
Just curious who has the leverage in this signing, because again, they went silent. We saw VGK not even have any discussions, according to reports. And those were, of course, let out by the agent. So who knows? So we heard that they hadn't spoken as of early September since July. So a couple of months had gone by. And now for VGK, are they able to, muscle, if you will, the situation a little bit more? Did they have the leverage as we get closer to the start of the season? Does Hague have the leverage now? Who has the leverage out of the two sides?
I think the team, right? I think the side that's writing the paycheck is the side that always is going to have the leverage in a situation like this, because at some point, let's just say this thing does drag on until December 1st, December 10th, December 14th, whatever that date is in December, where a player has to sign by. If they don't sign by that point, now not only are they not playing hockey for the entire season, but they're not getting their NHL contract. I think right now or sometime this week is officially when Nic Hague stops generating an income. He will not be making any money as a professional hockey player.
What about as a professional softball player?
Right. He did hit a couple of Hager bombs in the softball game. That was definitely a lot of fun to watch. But I don't know if he gets paid anything for wherever he's playing in the interim. It's not enough. I mean, it's not going to make a difference on him at all. So, at some point, these things do start factoring in. And now you start looking at what his contract is going to be next year and what his value is going to be to an NHL club if he does not play at all this entire season. Now he's got he's not going to have that elite level training. He's going to basically be off for the next, next 5 months after that, and then an entire off season. So he won't be even around a team until come, July, August of the following year. So I don't think this thing is going to drag on. I still feel that there is an announcement coming today. I got nothing to cite. I got no sources. This is only a weird gala crunch. That's all this is right now, folks. It's, we'll see if I'm right. We'll see if I'm wrong, but I got a feeling we got Nic Hague back by Thursday at the latest.
Okay. So no more sign and trade.
I wouldn't be surprised about that either, Tony. I wouldn't be surprised about that. I'll play both sides on this one, but I think something's going to happen, especially after reading how things are going to shake out according to Puckpedia.
Coming up next, is VGK ready for the start of this new season? We discussed when we returned right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Our next partner has a product that I literally use every day. I started to use Athletic Greens because I really didn't have time to eat in the morning, especially. I wanted to have my immune system optimized, all those things. Now it's been a few months since I started to take Athletic Greens, and I really do like it. It doesn't taste like it's super healthy. It doesn't taste chalky. It has this kind of mild and tropical taste. I actually look forward to it each and every morning. So what is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you are absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to get your day started on the right foot. Special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging, all those things. And it really does help me to sleep a lot better when I do get a chance to sleep. It's lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, gluten-free, all those things. Contains less than a gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, and it still tastes really good. It costs less than $3 a day, and you're investing in your health. It's cheaper than your cold brew habit. It's cheaper than all those things like buying supplements, for instance, and you're investing in the all-in-one nutritional insurance.
Probably
There's
cheaper than a trip to the Silver Knights games to the concession stand.
There's a lot of testimonials too, including one by Chris. It doesn't have a testimonial for the Silver Knights today and the Dollar Loan Center. Athletic Greens, over 7,000 five-star reviews. You should check them out today. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do today, Chris, is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. One more sleep to the start of the opening season.
Love it.
I know, it's great, right? And make sure that you check out our new YouTube channel, and please subscribe and leave some great comments, especially for me. Just makes my day, makes my stinking day. And thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Our podcast free and available wherever you get your podcast. So we've sat back. We have watched now 7 preseason games. And so Chris and I, let's kind of give our view of where we feel the team is at. Big question. Is this team ready? You could go first, Chris, and then vent some more about concession prices, if you will. Is this team ready for the start of the new season?
I think so, Tony. And I'll start by the only game that I was able to watch in person, but that game against the Sharks. Of course, they lost that game bad. But what they did do that game is the top 6 controlled really well that game. That was our top 2 lines that game, basically, with the Eichel and the Stephenson line. I'm assuming that's how we're going to break camp. That would be Eichel with Kessel and Reilly Smith, which that line was spectacular. And then we have the second line of Stephenson, Stone, and Marchessault. Those 2 lines are absolutely spot on, ready to go. Injury pending.
Wait. Stephenson, Stone, and Howden.
Is that how they lined up on?
Remember they switched up Marchessault.
They did,
Howden?
but I don't think that's how it's going to break, Tony.
Really?
I don't think. No.
I think Howden. I thought Howden played much better when he was with Stephenson and Stone.
I think they start with the veterans together, and then if they need to change something up, I think that change happens. You mentioned how many, borderline $6 million third line centers out there. I'll raise you how many $5.5 million-ish third line left wingers are out there. You know what I mean? So $11 million tied up on the third line. Those types of things don't make the general manager look too good, Tony. So I could see some influence, if you will. I'm sure it'll be about 3 weeks before we have an outside interference type show like we had as we went down the stretch last year regarding Leonard and things like that. So back to the question, are we ready to go? I do believe so. I think the team responded well in some of the preseason games down the stretch when they were losing early, and they came back. Most notably, the final, not the two games that they played in weird barns and stuff like that, but the one before. I think it was the game was in LA. I want to say.
Probably, yeah.
Either way, whatever it was one of the more recent games where they were down 2-0 early. They responded, they came back, and they won.
Yeah.
And you could tell that there was probably something said intermission.
Yeah, that was the LA game. That's when that was the game, I believe, where Cassidy had that closed door meeting with the team. I think that
I heard something about that, definitely. So, the team responded well to Cassidy. Again, folks, I think the preseason was handled well in the sense that we got to look at a lot of the younger kids. And, Cotter got a lot of time and seems to be settled in on that fourth line, assuming Carrier is going to be gone for a little while longer. So I think things did go well. Kessel had his one appearance of the preseason. He had his one and done moment, and I'm okay with that. And the rest of the players, Stone got his time to get his legs under him, and I think come Tuesday he's going to be ready to go. And Jack Eichel is, I think, on a mission this year. He is going to be on a mission this year. I've said this is probably the seventh time I've said this now. I don't look at this team winning the Pacific. They may not even get second in the Pacific. But I think from the word go, they're going to be pretty comfortable inside of the top three, if you will, I guess, in the Pacific Division. And the playoffs, I don't seem to be in doubt. And I see this team getting better throughout the season because that's how these veteran rosters kind of go. I do see them improving throughout the season and being a very tough out come playoffs. Again, we always got to put the asterisk of the goaltending situation in there. There's a lot of buzz for Adin Hill right now. Like a lot of people think this is a competition between Hill and Thompson. I just tossed myself into the ring on a couple random Facebook posts that were talking about this. And, Adin Hill went from Leonard to Fleury in the last 96 hours or so, it seems like. And I don't agree with that whatsoever. This is Logan Thompson's net. And maybe they'll have like a 3-2 type of share, 4-3 type of share for the first, few weeks or so. And we'll see if LB comes back in, and that throws another wrench into all the salary cap stuff happening right now. But a perfect world. This is Logan's net. We agree on that. 50-55 starts. Hill and LB chop up the other starts. I think that's the best case scenario for the goaltenders right now.
Okay, so this team, I think, is where I felt they might be going into the season. Again, there's just still a lot of unknown factors, as we mentioned. VGK still, like many teams in the NHL, let's face it, a work in progress, at this point.
No doubt.
The goaltending, again, not complete. Still so many questions, small sample sizes, right, across the board. Again, remember Pete DeBoer said it takes 3 goals to win a game. They're going to have to VGK is going to have to hold opponents to 3 goals or fewer to be
2.
successful.
According to DeBoer, 2.
And Logan Thompson, has he improved? Played like a period and a half up in Boise the other day. And again, he's human. He's going to make mistakes, and we'll have to see how he progresses. I think, again, still a work in progress with this team. Eichel line, as you mentioned, they're smoking. Can they continue with that momentum into the course of the regular season? Line 2, I still have Howden on that line. Just the chemistry and the way that they were skating late. We know William Karlsson, I guess, was complaining about having Amadio and Howden on his line, and they were kind of sloppy, and there was no chemistry, none whatsoever. So Marchessault, he started to play really well at the end of the preseason, and I like what he did in Boise the other night against Arizona. Had 3 whacks at the puck right there in the crease, and finally went top shelf, went over the pad of the goaltender, and he finally put it into the net. So we didn't talk much about defensive pairings, Chris. So you have Petro and Martinez, perhaps. Correct me if you have any other changes. McNabb and Theodore, right? And then Whitecloud and Korczak to start the season. How does that shake out?
Yeah, that's fair. And I haven't paid a lot of attention because it seemed like the defensive pairings were a revolving door as they took a look at a lot of the younger kids as well. Martinez and Petro together, I don't love that idea because you have 2 kind of stay at home, batten down the hatches type of defensemen there. I don't mind McNabb and Theodore together because you have the opposite ends right there, right? Theodore is going to go. McNabb is going to stay home, and in case there's a rush, he's going to be the last man back to protect. Whitecloud Korczak, fine, I'm okay with that. I'd rather see that opening line of the top 2 you mentioned, I should say, is a better way to put that, of Petro and Martinez chopped up, and Whitecloud with either one of them push McNabb down maybe to that 3rd defensive pairing with Korczak, because again, now you got 2 nice stay-at-home defensemen there. McNabb, obviously a veteran, been doing this for a long time now, I guess, as far as the hockey world is concerned. So I think he can help guide Korczak and make sure he's in the right place. And then you let our top 4 take care of playing against the other team's best talent. And put some pucks in the back of the nets. But Whitecloud, just an extra shout out for Whitecloud. I'm really looking forward to see his growth. He grew a lot from seasons 4 to 5. And now going 5 to 6, I think that growth is going to continue. And Whitecloud is someone that I think is going to have a very long and decorated NHL career, a lot like maybe an Alec Martinez, once he gets up there.
Yeah, and again, the push is for offensive defensemen under this brand new Bruce Cassidy system. Special teams still a concern. Again, we don't know. Big question mark.
The entries were better for the power play in the last game, finally.
Yeah,
the entries were a little bit better. But
yeah, they were. Yeah. They were. And the PK, hit and miss, really, because again, everyone's starting to just having to play together on the penalty kill, on special teams, on the power play, learning this new system all along. Entries were better. Neutral zone. It's going to be a big factor, especially in this first game against the LA Kings, which we'll preview tomorrow, Chris. But I think the LA Kings, I say if VGK gets out with a split those first 2 games, I think they're ahead of the game. I do. I feel that, I think the LA Kings are going to be ready for VGK, and this is a big game just out of the chute. And I don't like the game. It's in LA. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. But for VGK, I believe that they are where I felt they might be. And hey, knock on wood, this team's healthy going into this season. I mean, truly, Carrier was the only injury, and he's out there skating and could be back at any point here. Might be back this week, late in the week, might be back next. But I don't think he's too far off if he's out there on the ice and working out again. So we'll have to watch how he progresses.
Yeah, no doubt. Everything you said certainly is very valid there. And Carrier, I mean, Jesus, does he become a cap casualty in all this? They just kind of keep him on the side for a little bit. Like, how is that whole thing going to shake out? And there's so many cap questions, as there's always going to be, folks. And I think it's also safe to acknowledge it's probably better to be a cap team versus not being a cap team. Pete DeBoer famously said, listen, I've been on cap teams and I've not been on cap teams, and being on a cap team is a whole lot better as far as the talent and stuff like that goes. So we'll see how that shakes out. But I do want to back up your statement, Tony, about tomorrow night's game in LA being a very tough game. I'm assuming Cal Peterson might get the nod. Cal Peterson crushes the Vegas Golden Knights almost every single time. We're one of the few teams in the NHL, I think, that would rather see Jonathan Quick, because we seem to have Jonathan Quick's number more times than not. But Cal Peterson always kicks our butt. The Kings were very competitive last season. They were in the playoffs. And now they got Fiala over there taking over Dustin Brown's position. And, Dustin Brown, no knock on him, but, he was at the end of his career, and Fiala's not at the end of his career, and he's going to get a lot of goals. And, you still have a lot of veterans on that roster, as well as up and comers like Byfield and Turcotte and things like that. And it's going to be very interesting to see where the Kings are starting the season. And I think more importantly, from the VGK side, now it's time to kick it up another gear completely. Now it's time to be in that gear where the team responded to Cassidy after that closed door meeting, or, the top line doing what they did kind of when they felt like it. They always didn't feel like it in the preseason. And again, it's the preseason. You don't need to feel like it. But once tomorrow night about 7:00 local time comes, it's go, 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 go. No questions asked.
It's hard to believe, but VGK already, the puck has not even dropped on the start of a new season, and already they have cap issues. Okay.
But we knew that. We knew that coming into it.
Typically, it should be later on towards the end of the season, middle of the season, playoff push, all that, later on when players are coming in and out.
This one
hasn't even started, Chris.
And Tony, this is also a little bit
cap issues.
I know time is getting a little sensitive right now, but this is also a little bit self-inflicted right now. And I got to think one of the reasons Nic Hague hasn't been signed is not concern, but because boom, Aiden Hill, $2.5 million. Here you go.
As soon as they signed Kessel, I don't know.
Yeah, it's all fair, Tony. It's all fair. It's all valid. It's all fair and valid. And it's unfortunate we're talking about this come October 10th when the season starts the 11th. Like you said, maybe we save this conversation for January, but right off the word go, we are in cap trouble because we can't sign our sixth, or fifth defenseman, depending on how you rank them.
My goodness. Yeah, here we go again. There's never a dull moment. We've
I'm
said
on
this
your side,
across the
Tony.
board.
Don't get mad at Tony, folks, if he's being negative about the cap. I'm with him. I'm with him.
I'm not being negative. I'm just
No,
saying we're starting off the
you're
season
acknowledging
here in Las
reality, Tony.
Vegas
You're
talking
acknowledging
about the
reality.
cap, not about a brand new season, not about the excitement of a new season, but hey, we can't sign one of the defensemen because we don't have the loot. We don't know how to manage the salary cap. Coming up next, folks, Bill Foley has purchased Bournemouth of the Premier League, a soccer team. Cheerio. Stay tuned. According to reports, talk about that when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. So I was on the air on Saturday morning, and the news officially broke, and I saw Bill Foley taking a selfie with a young lad over there in England. Foley's brought he has purchased the Bournemouth soccer team of the Premier League, and that came out according to friends there in merry old England. I said checkmate or whatever else you say, cheerio, all that, to them. Set to pay $133 million, which I think is like a bargain basement price, for him to buy a Premier League team. I didn't think that was expensive at all. We saw those selfies. We saw pictures of him in the owner's box like he does here. Oh, my goodness. He wants to build a new stadium, Chris. He wants to pay for a training facility. He wants to sign shiny new toys. And he wants to double the prices of the concessions there. I mean, business as usual. But with his involvement there in soccer in England, does that divert any of the attention away from VGK?
It's fair. I mean, when your attention has to be split, if you will, for a little bit of time, it certainly will take some of the attention away. And, Foley said what he said, in the offseason about being more involved with the decisions as far as the on ice product goes with the Vegas Golden Knights. And we'll see if this changes a whole lot. I mean, we're just, hours away from the start of the season, an unsigned sixth defenseman. And here he is doing his thing, buying soccer teams right now. Will that change the day-to-day operations of the Vegas Golden Knights? I don't think so. I mean, maybe there'll be some job opportunities posted in the water cooler for people to take on internships going across the pond or something like that. And some of the VGK production crew, if they're looking, maybe they'll bring nighttime over there or something. Who knows how that's all going to shake out. But on the more serious note, I mean, his attention will not be 100% on the Vegas Golden Knights. And it also probably was never 100% on the Vegas Golden Knights to begin with, because he does have other financial enterprises, if you will, to focus on. So does a lot change as far as the Vegas Golden Knights are concerned? I don't think so. I'll be curious to press the fast forward button to about April, May, June, July next season, depending on how late the VGK goes, and to hear if someone does ask, because Foley doesn't talk a whole lot throughout the regular season. He'll do some conversations, some press random interviews, but he doesn't talk a whole lot. But at some point, I think the question will be asked, hey, what was it like having the VGK and your soccer team? How did you handle that? And I'm curious how he responds, because he usually is pretty honest with the media when he does have a microphone in front of him.
Yeah, but there's not been a lot of attention paid to this here. And again, the news broke on Saturday morning. I was on the air, and of course, I think I'm pretty well versed in this right by now on that soccer team purchase and all that. I think that the fans there are concerned they might change the name of the team to pick a color and Knights. The Bournemouth, they're the Cherries. So I call them the Red Knights. I don't know what they're going to be, or the Cherry Knights, or I don't know. But you know what? Like, so the Cherries, I mean, Bill Foley's going to fit in just fine, because they've had a history of firing coaches there. And Scott Parker was fired after just 4 games this season. Oh, man, this could be a lot of fun. This will be a lot of fun there. I'm just curious, too, whether or not this is genuine interest by Bill Foley. Is it a business decision? Yes, we get that. Is it a decision that will help him as Las Vegas now is in the spotlight trying to acquire or have an expansion team in the MLS, and Wes Edens and him in this battle of billionaires? I don't know. And I'm just curious to see how this all shakes out or what the interest is. But it seems as though he definitely wants to win. He wants to build a new facility. I think they're current stadium there holds about 11,000 fans. And so they want to expand that. And again, the new training facility, and he does want to sign a lot of new players. So then they'll have salary cap issues for sure.
I guess the question that I would ask is, are there any MLS owners that do have shares of these other clubs across the world?
Yeah, Wes Edens owns co-owner.
So
of
that's
the
that's the comments about the Battle of Billionaires. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and then of course Wes Edens, the owner of the Milwaukee Bucks as well. We saw where Bill Foley trademarks the name Heroes. Edens comes back and he trademarks Villains. So there is a little bit of
awesome.
a battle there.
I thought that was so dynamite, Tony, when you pointed that out a couple months ago too. I thought that was absolute dynamite. I love that.
You went to the Silver Knights back here on the home front. Checkmate. So you went to the game, concession prices notwithstanding. What can fans look forward to with the AHL Silver Knights this season?
I mean, let's see what happens with the final VGK roster cuts. I think that's going to tell you a lot, but I think it's going to be a stacked team. We've mentioned so many of the players. We could do a little more of a preview tomorrow as we're getting down on time here, but you're looking at a lot of these players that had a lot of NHL time in the preseason at the VGK level. Some of them are about to be sent down, and Hayes, I think, is really going to be a special talent down there, and he's going to be pushing himself to possibly make the NHL side in the not too distant future. Another goal last night, just everywhere on the ice, laying big hits. Had 2 goals in a preseason game last week as well. So Hayes is someone I'm really excited to see what he's going to bring. And then, that's really what stood out to me yesterday. It wasn't a very solid roster. I felt like Gage Quinney was on the ice the entire game yesterday. So that's where I'll leave it for now.
And we saw Hayes up close and personal last week, and that is one big dude too. So coming up tomorrow, preview of the LA Kings game, season opener in Los Angeles. We thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. For your second listen, check out Locked On NHL. For my man, Chris Golick, Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas. We'll see you once again tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights.